All right, so the time right now is 12:21, and this recording is 12:21 Australian time. I'm currently in Canberra in the apartment we're renting. It's called Waldorf Apartments Hotel something, and today marks the end of our trip. So I've been on a 20-day trip with my entire family, and well, it's been a wonderful trip, I would say. And 20 days is a very long time to spend, I think, on any holidays. And I'd just like to make this recording just to sort of as a just something to finalize the trip, something like sort of like the thoughts that it's been a wonderful trip. I just wanted to just say something about it. I think record it, and so it's been a wonderful trip. It's we went to many different places, and I think we started off. I think we flew. We stopped, for a while in Singapore, roughly about 8 hours in Singapore. I think about, and then we flew to Melbourne, and from Melbourne airport we drove straight to Torquay, and it was supposed to be this wonderful coast area, and we didn't actually do anything. We just stayed there for a night and just left. But it was wonderful. It was the first time sort of the very first thing I noticed was that the sun goes down at 8 or 9. That's crazy. So at 9. So at 8, it's still very very bright. Yeah. So that's really strange. Obviously in Indonesia, everything goes dark at around 6:30, maybe even earlier than that. So it's a wonderful thing. We went from Torquay to where did we go? To Phillip Island, and then after Phillip Island, we stayed there for that. That was quite something. We stayed there for like 8 days, and then went back to Melbourne. Stayed there for 3 days, and then we flew to Sydney, and then we flew. Stayed there for a while. We took a bus to Canberra, and here we are right now. Obviously, nothing to see here. In fact, we arrived on Christmas Day, almost no one was here. Roads were empty, there was hardly anyone, hardly any vehicles. Yeah, that was crazy. And this was supposed to be the capital city of Australia. Uh, yeah, so yeah, we're only here because we're going to be catching our flight back, and apparently we could only get tickets from Canberra back to Indonesia. So yeah, that's that. And so it's a wonderful, I think, trip. I'm kind of sad that it's finally it's over, but in a way I'm quite relieved as well, because it's really quite exhausting. 20 days in Australia is not. I mean, there are lots of really great things. The sunshine, I would say, is a great thing. Long days, you see a lot of things, and you meet a lot of people, and that's wonderful. And we planned everything ourselves. We got apartments from Airbnb, and sometimes went on Booking.com. So those are wonderful websites. But I would say the best would be if you had someone who helped you get around town, particularly when you're in a city. Driving could be really insane. Um, in Melbourne, for example, it's just, like some of the things just didn't make sense for an average Indonesian. For example, if you have to do these hook turns where if you want it to go right, you have to be on a left lane, and you have to wait, and and you're supposed to go, but people can actually cross the street. So kind of you get the red light, but also the pedestrians, they get you get the green light, but the pedestrians also get the green light. So you're kind of like stuck in the middle. And I think those situations in Indonesia, you would have been pulled aside by the police, but that's the norm here in Australia. So that's a really weird thing. So when you have people who know the area, who know the roads and all that, it's a wonderful thing. You don't have to worry about like, oh, after this place where you want to go, and sort of, and also, and you know, going to places and them telling you like the best spots and the best deals. So having friends would be awesome. Obviously, you can do all those things yourself, but awesome with friends. Um, the one thing that I would say, um, yeah, throughout the 20 days would be the stress. I mean, you wouldn't imagine, you would think that 20-day trip in Melbourne, in Sydney would be, you know, like a walk in the park. It'd be fantastic, but it's pretty stressful. It's pretty stressful, especially if you're traveling with family, and there will always be people who want to just like, you know, take control, take lead, but you know, having no idea whatsoever what to do, and so there was a lot of like stress organizing places, and you know, to go, things to do, and obviously the cost was crazy. I would say that things cost at least, you know, 6 times as expensive, and could go all the way up to like 11 or 12 times as expensive. Um, Cup of coffee would cost you. I mean, a decent cup of coffee will cost you $3 something. It's actually not a decent. It's like, you know, but and that's 30,000 in Jogja. That's what, and you know, you would go to a Starbucks and get these fancy frappuccinos or whatever, and they would cost about 50 or 60,000. You go, what? That's expensive for a cup of coffee? No freaking way! But here, everything costs around that. You know, good. I had a nice cup of coffee cost me around $6. That's 60,000. So that's tough, and I was really lucky. I think that my dad footed most of the bill. So it was a, yeah, it was a wonderful thing. The ticket and all that, but just thinking about the cost of being here for 20 days, that's pretty crazy. And well, the food can also cause stress. Not for me. I mean, I'm generally okay with trying new things, but we're a band of Indonesians, you know, and a lot of us miss rice, can't live a day without rice, and which means we would be carrying rice cookers around, you know, flying around with rice cookers in our bag, and that'd be pretty interesting. Yeah, but it was great that, you know, a lot of the places we went to had kitchens, and so we could generally just cook, and that was pretty awesome. But it was pretty stressful because not all of the stuff that they make here, you know, suited our taste. But I would say for the most part, I enjoyed the meats, because, you know, different types of meats. They're all really delicious, really soft here, and yeah, just nice, just wonderful. I had a grand time, but a lot of people were stressed out, and you know, we're saying stuff like, the moment we get home, we'll eat rice with, you know, you know, your typical Indonesian dish, you know, fried chicken or whatever. Also the food, sorry, not the food, the health issue of being in a country probably with one of the highest rating of skin cancer because they have a hole in their ozone. Um, yeah, so my daughter, I didn't expect this to happen. It didn't happen to me, but my daughter experienced quite, I think, a serious sunburn, and you know, she was developing rashes, and she had to have like cream, special cream put on her face, and yeah, I didn't expect that would happen. I thought it'd be fine. We're Indonesians. We have the pigments, you know, to handle the sun, but no. We had to be really careful with, when you're going out and you're thinking of going out in, playing out there on the beach, you got to think about SPF 50 sunscreen generally all the time, particularly your kids. You gotta really watch out for them because they're not as tough as you, not their skin anyway. And also the air is really dry. I mean, in Indonesia, it's hot, it's warm, it's stuffy, but it's always like like damp air, and so I didn't expect that I would be using lip balm every day, but I do. I did. I Not a day goes without lip balm. Yeah, you know, it's a wonderful thing to have. But yeah, all those things. And I would say the biggest hurdle would be, I think not for me particularly this one, but for a lot of the people traveling together with us. I think if you didn't know the language, and an Australian accent, you'd think that all English is the same, but they don't. And it was really tough. Like, for example, the first time we were gonna go and pick up our car, we rented a 12-seater commuter van. It was awesome. Could carry all 10 of us with all our luggage, and yeah. But my dad, he made a phone call, and the uh, the person handling the call, I guess, just wasn't able to, or wasn't that excited about talking to him because he didn't sound like he understood them, and it just there was a lot of pressure. In the end, I think I ended up becoming the guy who's always like talking to people, and we're also Chinese, but we're the wrong type of Chinese. There are lots of people speaking Cantonese here, and Mandarin, and apparently our Mandarin wasn't that great. And so I ended up also being the guy who's talking in Mandarin most of the time with many different people, just organizing seats, ordering stuff, making sure things go well. So if you didn't have the language, you would run into I think pretty deep trouble. In fact, we were at Sydney Fish Market, and I was queuing to get some of those wonderful beer battered dories, and it, with obviously salad and chips and all that, and there were just a bunch of people just just they were walking around, and they were basically making it very difficult to queue because they're not queuing, they're just looking at things and trying to figure out what's going on because none of them spoke English. And so I ended up translating for them and like helping them out, like, oh yeah, this is you get them per piece and this one per portion and whatever, and had to translate all that. And so I became a part-time translator down here. So am I happy that it's over? I think I'm pretty happy that it's over. At a certain point, I think it's wonderful to be in a different country, seeing all these things. It's and experiencing all these things. That's a great thing. But now that it's over, I'd just like to say that I can't wait to go back to get back to Jogja to, I guess, do all the things that I'll be doing, teaching, and basically, and then telling my students how important it is to really master the language before you come here. It's really, really, really important. Obviously, I'd like to come back to this country again, maybe in a couple of years. I'd like to do the Great Ocean Road all over again. There were some hiccups, and we didn't really get the whole Great Ocean Road experience. So I made a pact with my brothers and obviously with my wife, that I'd come back, would do the Great Ocean Road. Yeah, stay a couple of days over at Apollo Bay, should be wonderful. But right now, I would say, yeah, I'm grateful I had the opportunity, and I'm happy I've gone through this. I've finished the trip, and I'm ready to get back home and yeah, get my hands dirty. Yeah. Um, so from Canberra, yeah, I guess signing off. Just officially, sort of, recording the end of the trip. Yeah, I'll see you guys again back in Indonesia.